This was the 20 square meter room that I have been renting back in Denmark. It was a great place in the heart of the city with access to supermarkets and gyms in every direction, but it was really expensive to rent. Up until today, I don't think it is justified to pay $780 of rent for a single room, no matter where it is located on this planet. I'm definitely not regretting anything that I did back in Denmark, but since then things have changed. Now we're living in Norway on the countryside, in this little house with the fjord 100 meters down that way and the forest line starting straight behind this field. This is a pretty amazing location, well, at least it is in my opinion, and together we now pay $120 more than what I paid back in Denmark alone for a single room. So today I thought I'll show you a bit around the house and the surroundings so you can get an impression of what you would be able to rent if you're willing to spend $900 in Norway's countryside. What I'm sitting in right now is the entrance to the living area of our 90 square meter house with fjord view. You obviously get a little bit more if you choose to spend your money on the countryside. The living area is pretty big with somewhat enough space for all of Thea's plants. On the one side we have a little couch with a small table and a TV. And on the other side there is our dining area with a small dinner table for two that is actually extendable, more space for Thea's plants and the seeds that she's growing right now, and a oven to heat the main area of the house. Despite having a heat pump, we are using the oven quite often as it gives a bit more of a cozy warmth all around the house. And it keeps the electricity bill a little bit lower than it normally would be. The thing is that we just haven't found the right place to store the wood on the property. There is no shed for firewood and right now it's just stapled under the porch. But with very heavy rain and wind it's still getting wet and that's rather suboptimal for firewood. If we go on, the living area is directly connected to the kitchen. There is absolutely nothing special about it, but we do have quite a big fridge, an electrical stove, and more than enough storage space to stock up on food supplies before the hill is getting too slippery to drive down with the car in winter. Apart from the big living area, we also do have a decent sized bathroom as well as 3 small bathrooms. Right now we're using the bathroom mainly for showers and getting ready in the morning, as well as drying our clothes, as it's the only room that can really handle a higher humidity in this wood house. For that we also do have an air dehumidifier that, if we have the drying racks up, keeps the humidity down to 50%, so there isn't any chance for mold that could spread through the whole house after a while.
Am I allowed to continue filming?
The first bedroom is our actual bedroom, as it is the only room big enough to fit a bed, Yuki's cage and enough storage for our clothes. It is a quite dark room as it is facing the mountain and is covered by a lot of trees, but it doesn't really matter if you're just using the room for sleeping anyways. The second room was turned into the cat room. There is a little bit of tension between a Malamute with prey drive and 2 clumsy kittens that are running all over the place, so at times it is nice to be able to separate them. It's pretty much looking like a playground in there, so the cats can climb around and still get some energy out. The last bedroom has been turned into my office, as you have probably seen from prior videos. There isn't much space in there, but it's enough for a shelf with some plants and all the camera gear that can be the background for all the talking head scenes, or not this one, but at least most of the talking head scenes that I'm filming for other videos. Even though the room has an amazing fjord view and you can see ships like Hurtigruten come by pretty much all day long, I often have the blinds closed. That makes it a bit easier with filming if you use an artificial light source and things are not changing all the time. What I nearly forgot to mention is that we also have a storage room with another huge freezer. It comes in very handy to store huge amounts of dog food, like in Yuki's case, frozen meat, the deer that we got from Thea's father and the fish I caught through the season, so that we are a bit better prepared for the winter. Now that you have seen pretty much everything we have inside, Now that you have seen all the rooms inside the house, you know we have pretty much everything on a quite small space. And I can tell you it gets quite much smaller the more animals you have. But the good thing is you're not moving to the countryside to stay inside anyways, so I think it's now about time that we have a look at the surroundings. Our little house is at the end of a very steep gravel road, so we do not have too many neighbors, and the houses that are surrounding us here are mainly cabins that are only used during the summer months. It is very peaceful down here, except if the fjord is hit by a heavy storm or somebody decides to use their chainsaw on a good Saturday afternoon to cut down some trees. Once out of the door, it's just a very short walk down the rest of the gravel road to the little tractor road in between the two fields that are right behind me. The upper field is quite frequently visited by deer, but so far I did not manage to catch anything of that on video, so that's maybe something for the coming weeks. If you walk farther along the tractor road, then it takes you a few minutes and moving past a few more fields until you either reach the little harbor or one of the nicer beaches around here. We are very lucky that we're able to use the little boat that our landlord has down there whenever we like to go fishing or just paddle around the fjord. Just a few days ago, we've also been setting out 3 crab traps, but I haven't checked them yet, so I cannot tell you if I caught anything or not. If you go on around the rocks from the harbor, then after a few meters you reach the little beach that I mentioned. It's a great place to have a coffee and just watch the ships going by, or in my case, collect driftwood to build a shelf in the office. But it's also nice to just sit down and see how much fun Yuki has playing around in the waves or throwing around seaweed. He normally finds something that he has a lot of fun to play with. If you decide to go the other way, not down to the ocean but up the mountains, then you can follow a quiet gravel road all the way to the end and through a lot of forest until you reach 2 big fields that are normally filled with wildlife. You can be quite sure during dusk and dawn that if you go there you will meet a deer or a badger. Yuki's nose is rather good and he still has quite a lot of hunting instinct left, so you better hold the leash tight, otherwise he will run off. Once you make it up to the highest point, you can basically walk straight into the forest line, and then you will find a lot of smaller spaces that seem to be very usable for a picnic with fjord view. If the sky is clear, then you can easily see over to the other side of the fjords and the higher snowy mountains in the back. So, beach in the front and mountains in the back. I couldn't be much happier about that. But I have to mention that this house that you're renting right now does not have much property around itself. It's pretty much like 2 or 3 meters in that direction and 2 meters in all the other directions. So it's not much space to grow fruits and vegetables. Well, renting isn't anything for the very long run anyway, so I'll save up the agriculture part for the time when we hopefully find our own farm. With a bit more property, we will also be able to build the greenhouses that we would like to. There's just nothing we can do about that right now. God, that sun. I haven't seen that in ages. Like literally, it's raining for 14 days straight. And of course now when I'm trying to film something, the sun comes out and is blinding me. You know, you need to complain about something. Always. It's bright. I'm not used to that anymore. And it's raining too. You see the rainbow? Wasn't lying. We sadly have to wrap this up inside. It suddenly got very windy and rainy, so it is a bit more cozy to sit next to the fire inside than in the rain on the porch. If you wouldn't see the ships coming by all day, you would maybe even think that time is standing a bit still down here, as there's literally nothing changing. And to be honest, to me it feels pretty good not to be part of that city noise anymore and not having to be dragged into this artificial and often unjustified busyness. So if you're not the biggest city person either, then I hope that video helped a little. Maybe it finds the right one, and we'll see us on the countryside soon.